Hey everyone, I'm Matthew with the Green Dragon CBD. I'm one of the owners, and today I'm joined with David, my father, who's the other owner of the Green Dragon CBD. And we're going to take some time and just sort of talk about CBD oils. Because when you first start looking at possibly taking CBD, there's a lot of options, and taking a CBD oil is like one of the real basic ways and one of the main ways that a lot of people do use CBD. It can be very confusing starting out. So we're going to really focus just on the basics around the different types of oils, the pros and cons of each, and also dosing, and also how to take an oil sublingually correctly. So also don't forget to like this video and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So how's it going today?
It's going great. I'm excited to be here. We write so much content for the website, and being able to put it in a video, I think, is a lot more effective for people. We've got a lot of complicated content there, a lot of articles about terpenes and processing, but being able to just go to the basics today is really exciting because we get a lot of customers who just need a little bit of a basic overview of what is CBD oil, how does it work, how do we dose it, and how do we use it. So happy to be here.
Yeah, definitely. Because like when people first come into the store and they think they want to take a CBD oil, they think it's just one item. But right now we carry 3 different types of CBD oils that I'll let David speak about a little bit more here.
Yeah, so if we start talking about the CBD oils, there's without getting complicated, there's only 3 types.
Yeah.
There's CBD isolate, there's broad spectrum, and there's full spectrum. Now these can be pretty complicated terms, so let's break it down and talk about each one just a little bit. So I grabbed here just the Mentera CBD 3,000 milligram. This is a CBD isolate, and what CBD isolate means that it just has the CBD, that cannabinoid, cannabidiol, in it. It doesn't have other cannabinoids. It doesn't have other terpenes. It's in a carrier oil, and we won't get into the different carrier oils that different oils companies use, but it's basically pure CBD by itself in various doses. So that's CBD isolate, just like the name suggests, isolated. So they take the cannabis plant, hemp in this case, and they pull out and extract just the CBD to make that product. One of the cool things about it is THC free.
Oh, that's great. So
all of our products, of course, any CBD product has to be under 0.3% delta-9 THC to be federally legal. But a CBD isolate has 0.0% for anybody who's super concerned about having any THC at all. So that's CBD isolate. We can talk more about that. I don't know. I mean, we have a lot of customers who come in just for that. And a lot of people tend to use this for pain, actually, has been my experience. I don't know if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, no, typically when people want to take a CBD isolate oil, it's typically their first time and they are really unsure about what they want to do and what exactly they want to take. Because sometimes even that less than 0.3% delta-9 THC might, turn some people off and might scare them at first.
Yep. So, and it's a pure product. We'll talk about some of the pros and cons with it in a little bit. The second type is broad spectrum oils. So here we have the CBD MD, which is a big national brand, and they're broad spectrum oils. Broad spectrum basically means it has a combination of cannabinoids in it that have been specifically selected. The combinations are very different between different products, and different companies have different proprietary blends. But broad spectrum means it's broader than just CBD. It has CBG or CBN or a number of other cannabinoids or terpenes in it that make the product up. Most broad spectrums tend to also be THC free because when they're putting together these blends, they don't put in the minute amounts of THC that occur naturally in the hemp plant because it doesn't serve any purpose. So you'll see as example on here, it'll say, obviously it's non-GMO, it's gluten-free, it's lab-tested. It'll also say THC-free. Yeah. So broad-spectrum oils come in a lot of shapes and sizes and varieties, but they have more than just CBD isolate and less than the third type,
And that's going to be the full spectrum CBD oils,
Exactly.
which are probably the most popular ones that we carry.
Full spectrum are really popular because they have every cannabinoid and terpene found in the hemp plant. So there's over 119 cannabinoids and over 200 terpenes. You might say, what's a terpene? Terpene is the essential oils of the plant that give it an aroma, that have special effects in nature for the plant, be it protecting from disease or insects or other things. But in your oil, the terpenes and all the cannabinoids are extracted together, including less than 0.3% THC, to give you what they call the entourage effect. And that entourage effect is about making sure, being able to get the effect of all the cannabinoids and terpenes working together. And the concept is that the sum is greater than the parts. They work together and have a synergy that's very effective. So a full spectrum is popular, to your point, because you get that full entourage effect. And we'll talk about some of the other pros and cons as well. I don't know if you have any examples, Matthew, of what you're seeing in the market today.
Yeah, I'd say, really in the beginning, going back a couple of years ago, really it was CBD isolates, and then the full spectrum was also available. And then as time went on and more research was being done, they found out that having the entourage effect in the full spectrum, having all those cannabinoids can be quite a benefit to you. And then more recently, over the last year, there's been a lot of research done into certain cannabinoids like CBN and CBG, which is where a lot of the broad spectrum oils come from. And we were seeing more and more broad spectrum formulas starting to come out now from every company.
Yeah, absolutely. The science is still young in the whole industry, but because there are emerging studies around CBG and CBN as an example, people want products that have a higher concentration of those cannabinoids than might occur naturally. And so you're getting these broad spectrums. Should we talk about the pros and cons of each?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I guess let's go back to that Medterra isolate that we have there. And sort of, why the isolate over a broad spectrum or a full spectrum?
Good question. Number one is cost. So, by pulling just the CBD out, you'll find these products typically a little bit less expensive as a rule. And that affordability is important for people because not everybody can afford to buy this 6,000 milligram bottle of full spectrum or a very almost a designer broad spectrum, right? You can get all the CBD. It's going to have the same effect on your body. It's going to provide that balancing effect across your nervous system, across your different elements of your body, which we won't talk about now. But you get the effects of CBD, and you have to pay a little less, and it's pure. It doesn't have the THC either. So pro, cost, pro, pure CBD without THC. The con is you don't get any benefit from the entourage effect, unfortunately. What do you think about broad spectrum?
Yeah, I think broad spectrum is really where the market is moving to, and it's what more and more people are wanting. Because, with CBD and the hemp industry being so new, there's more and more research being done, and it's now being publicized more and more to the public, and they're starting to understand more about these different cannabinoids and how oils work. So they really want to get a formula that they think is going to work more for them.
So the pro for them is potentially being more effective, certainly more desirable.
Yeah, because those are put together by pharmacists, by each company, by a team.
Why? What's the con on the broad spectrum?
Since they're taking these concentrations of cannabinoids and having to put it into one oil, it's going to be a higher price point for you than the full spectrum or the isolate.
Yeah, absolutely. And prices change, products change in our world. We carry over 400 products from over a dozen brands, and so there's a wide variety of prices and strengths. But I think you can typically, at least in today's world, expect to pay, nearly twice as much in some cases for a broad spectrum versus an isolate. So the consumer has to say it's worth it to them, and it is for many.
And the great thing is you do get part of that entourage effect as well
by
having all this mix of cannabinoids in there as well. And then that leaves us with our last one, full spectrum. So what are sort of, why go with a full spectrum?
Full spectrum is a great because it kind of balances out the pros and cons of the other two. I've got a bottle here of 6,000 milligrams from Lazarus Naturals of classic flavor in a 120 milliliter bottle. So it's a lot of dosage. And I can get this probably for a similar price to a quarter of the amount in a broad spectrum. But I also get the entourage effect because it's got all the cannabinoids and terpenes. So from a price point of view, it's still very affordable. From an effectiveness point of view, it's got the entourage effect. So, the argument becomes, do I want to pay more for a more specific blend of cannabinoids, or do I want to just go with the pure CBD and isolate? Of course, the con to some of the full spectrum is it will have some delta-9 THC in it, but less than 0.3% by law. It doesn't really have any effect. But, I was in here the other day, and, we love our customers, and they come from all different backgrounds and situations. Yeah. Some people use it for general health, some people for pain, sleep, anxiety. Those are the main reasons. But, we get all kinds of great stories from our customers about how it's helping them. But, we have a number of our customers who are, unfortunately, in a very serious state with cancer. And they need high dosages of CBD. They find it very helpful for the symptoms. And, a lot of them will use the Lazarus because of the high dosage. They don't need anything. They don't need to be paying twice as much for something special. They want that pure entourage effect. They want everything from the plant, and it really helps them. So that's a great example of where that's the right product for that type of customer. I don't know. You probably have stories about some of the others. So yeah, that's a great story of how full spectrum has helped people with cancer. It's just one example. I'm sure you've got some other experiences.
Working from home these days can be quite stressful, and having your family around and dealing with a lot of different things coming at you.
Yeah, COVID's been tough for people.
Yeah, so there's a lot more anxiety and a lot more stress going around, and working in a new environment doesn't help to that. So a lot of people are looking for new ways and how to help themselves deal with this anxiety and stress of work.
Are you suggesting it's work, or that the whole family has to live together full time in the house all day long?
I think it might be a little combination of that these days, since not all those families are used to it all the time. But they come in and they are just looking for relief or something to take the edge off, while still being able to, help themselves and not being on some sort of prescription these days, which would be quite common. And so, I had one customer the other week come in, and he bought a full spectrum oil, and now, every couple of weeks he comes back in, and he's like, Matthew, this is great. It changed my life. I can do more things now, more productive. I don't have that stress or anxiety if I gotta make a presentation at work over a call with 20 other people or things like that. Which is we love to hear and we love to see as well.
Yeah, I mean that's why we're in business, right? Which is to help people. And it might be a common question of, well, which one is right for sleep? Which one is right for anxiety? Which one helps more with pain? The answer is generally, there is no specialization of an oil for a particular effect. But we do have some products that are sleep oils, and they just happen to have a little bit more of a specific cannabinoid, or they might even have melatonin in them that help to promote sleep even more. But in general, when you want to think about choosing an oil, we're available by phone, we're available in person to do free consultations. It really helps to talk to somebody about what you're dealing with, what some of your constraints are, whether you want some THC, whether you can't have any, whether you want a high price point, low price point, and we can help you make those decisions.
Yeah, and I think sort of moving on to the next topic here around dosing, right? When we first started this business, about 18 months ago, as of recording today, we used to have a 50 milligram bottle of CBD oil. And people just aren't taking enough these days. They'll be like, I'm taking 5 milligrams a day. And the reality is, yes, you're still taking CBD every day, which is great and thing to get in the habit of doing, but you're not taking enough to get the desired effect that you need. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about dosing and some of the different factors that might go into it.
Yeah, it's a complicated topic, and we can't answer for anybody what the right dose is for you, but we can tell you a few things. Dosing really is influenced by three factors: your body weight, your body chemistry, or you might call it tolerance, and the third is how severe of an impact or an effect you need. In other words, the more you take, the more effect it's going to have. So if you have massively severe chronic pain, you may need a little more than somebody who's suffering from just some mild pain and trying to get some inflammation support. So, dosing is dependent on those three factors, but to your point, the whole industry has learned and the science has begun to advance that you really need, we like to say 50 milligrams to 100 milligrams a day as a midpoint reference. Some people need less, some people need more. We certainly have customers that are taking several hundred milligrams a day and getting great results. We have other customers who are taking 10 milligrams a day and they really enjoy it and it's helping their sleep. So it is person specific, but those are the three things, right? Weight, tolerance, and what your effect is you're looking to get. Unfortunately, because of the packaging and the bottle sizes, calculating how much is in a dropper is a bit of a math test.
Yeah, definitely. I know, because in our store we have a whole sheet of paper up next to the oil cabinet that goes into each of the bottles that we have and how to divide it and get how many milligrams are in each dropper, milliliter. So I don't know if you want to go in a little bit more about that.
I do. Because it's something we want to help everybody with, and we try to make the complex simple. So what I've brought out here are 3 bottles of Savage full spectrum oil. One says 1,000 milligrams, the second says 1,500 milligrams, the third says 2,000 milligrams. The first thing to realize is on most CBD oils, and everyone I know of, and most CBD products, the number of milligrams actually refers to how many milligrams of CBD are in the bottle, regardless of size. So 1,000 milligrams, 1,500 milligrams, 2,000 milligrams. To make my point, this bottle I mentioned earlier is 6,000 milligrams. Now, this bottle is 4 times the size, but it still has 6,000 in it. So this is where the math comes in. This bottle also says it's 30 milliliters. Each one of these is 30 milliliters. So they have droppers inside, like a dropper, and each dropper is 1 milliliter. So theoretically, if you took that dropper, filled it, you'd be able to do it 30 times. So essentially, if you did 1 dropper a day, that's a month's supply. The question we have to ask is how many milligrams are in each dropper? Well, that's pretty simple. Some people may need a calculator. I know I do. You take 1,000 milligrams divided by 30 milliliters. So that's 33.3 milligrams per milliliter. So every dropper has 33 milligrams. We saw a lot of the 1500s.
Yeah, that might be the easiest one.
I used to think it was because it was the right dosage for people, but it actually turns out to be the easiest math. Because 1,500 milligrams divided by 30 milliliters is 50 milligrams per milliliter, which happens to also be sort of the recommended starting dosage point. So 1 milliliter a day is 50 milligrams, month's worth, 1,500 milligram product, nice and easy. So 50 milligrams is a nice point. But again, moving up to 2,000 milliliters, math isn't that hard now, we're getting the hang of it. 2,000 divided by 30 is?
66.
66.66, repeating. So I call it 67 milliliters and per dropper, which is also very effective because, like with almost any product in this world, the higher concentration you buy, the more cost effective it is. So to go from 1,000 milligram bottle to a 2,000 milligram does not cost twice as much. So people who are really getting the benefits from it tend to move up and purchase more at one time.
Yeah.
Now, to make the point, kind of close out the point, if I take this big bottle we talked about before of 6,000 milligrams, and it's 4 times the size, so it's 120 milliliters. For you guys at home, 6,000 divided by 120 is a very convenient 50 milligrams. So it actually is the exact same dosage per dropper as this 1500. So it's important just to do the simple math. And like I said, we have a chart. We're here to help. It's not complicated, but hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, definitely. I know we have customers that come in every day that are confused about, well, I've been taking 3 drops of the oil and not a whole dropper, and they aren't actually ever sure how much they're taking. Right. So breaking this down, I think, is great to help everyone out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think sort of, one of the most important things in order to get the full benefits of a CBD oil is, how do you take it correctly so you get the maximum dosing out of it?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's a few different options about how you can take CBD oil, and I'll cover a couple of the major ones. A lot of people, it's meant. A lot of people have think of the word tincture. They've heard the word tincture when they talk about a CBD oil. It's actually a confusing word because now people have sort of associated with an oil that you take under your tongue, which is actually called taking an oil sublingually. Taking any medicine or any substance under your tongue is called the sublingual method. We have a pretty extensive blog on the website called The Complete Guide to Sublingual CBD. It's got a video on there that shows somebody doing it, because I'm not going to do it live for you here. But it's important. Sublingual is the most typical method to take it under your tongue, and I'll talk about why. Another method is putting it in your food or maybe your drink or your water. Which is effective, and people bake with it as well, and they make foods. I mean, we had a food truck out here partnered with us making burgers with CBD. So, CBD oil is very versatile. People use it in cooking, they use it in products. But if you're going to just take a CBD oil yourself, the sublingual method is the preferred method. Now, why is that, and what is it? So, it may sound pretty simple, but really the best method is to take the dropper, put the oil in your mouth, swish it around once to coat your cheeks and your gums, and then let it sit under your tongue for, technically you should let it sit for 2 minutes. 2 minutes when you're waiting for something to absorb is like
you're
forever,
not going to wait the whole time.
forever. You put a timer on, it'll seem like an hour, but at least a minute or so. The idea is that membrane underneath your tongue is actually perfect for absorption directly into your bloodstream. That's also why you go ahead and coat your cheeks and your gums, because the absorption through your cheek is actually called bacal, B-A-C-C-A-L. It's not a very well-known word. And why don't we take things with that method? Because we can't tilt our heads and have it sit there. It's easy to have it sit under your tongue. But your gums also absorb it as well. So it's good to get it there. The idea is to get as much of it absorbed into your bloodstream before you swallow it. Obviously, after a minute or two, go ahead and swallow what's left. But if you swallow it, or you put it in food, or you take it in a drink, or you have a water-soluble CBD that you put in your water, it's going to go through your digestive process. And anything that goes through your digestive process goes through your liver, and your stomach bowel's attacking it, and it's changing it, and it really lessens the potency a little bit, and certainly delays the effect. So there's certainly very viable ways to take CBD through your digestive system, but the purpose of an oil really is to put it under your tongue and let it be absorbed sublingually.
And you're also going to get the effects of it a little bit quicker as well than doing that. And
we can spend we'll probably spend a whole nother video talking about how long do the different methods of taking CBD take to have an effect, how long they last, and we've written some extensive material on that as well. Understanding your different options about how to take the oil is the first step.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people love to also bake foods or have drinks with CBD in there as well. I know we had one customer that comes in all the time to get oil or different types of CBD, and she used to make all sorts of brownies and cakes with them. I know she used to bring some of them in for us and our employees a few times, and they were absolutely delicious, which is always great to see.
I see the CBD chocolate sitting right behind you. So, in the store we've got over a dozen product categories, from gummies to inhalers to vaping to edibles like chocolate. I could go on and on. And we'll talk more about these in our series. So I really encourage you to subscribe, not just to plug that, because we want to keep providing education to you And it's a pretty fun topic because there's lots of different areas to go into.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably sit here for days on end talking about all the little nitty-gritty things
I don't
about
think people would
CBD.
keep watching us.
No. Probably get a little boring after the first hour or so. But there's tons to talk about, and we love sharing our knowledge about all of these different products in the industry. So we just wanted to cover up some of the basics about CBD oil today.
Maybe before we let them go, sorry to interrupt you, maybe I'll just recap for them.
Sure.
And if you missed most of the video or want to replay it, or maybe just need the 30-second version, I'll give it to you here, and then you can tell people what's next. 3 types of oil, right? Isolate, CBD isolate, broad spectrum, and full spectrum. Isolate is CBD only. Full spectrum has all the cannabinoids and terpenes from the plants. Broad spectrum somewhere in the middle. And I won't go into all the pros and cons, but those 3 types are important to understand. And then dosing, 50 to 100 milligrams, depending on your weight, tolerance, and what effect you're looking for. And remember to calculate how much is in a dropper by taking the milligrams on the bottle divided by the number of milliliters. And if you take all that knowledge, you take it sublingually under your tongue, you are a beginner CBD oil user and certified, ready to go.
Awesome. And just so everyone knows, we're always free for CBD consultations, whether you want to come into the store in person or give us a call on our phone, or send us an email as well online. But we also do encourage everyone to go talk to their doctors before taking CBD for the first time. But we really encourage everyone to try it at least once or for a few weeks to really see how it can help them in a different way.
Yeah, Matthew, you mentioned the doctors, not to alarm anybody, but obviously, we can't make any health claims.
Yeah.
It's not an FDA-approved product, although we can go on and on about stories from the customers about all the benefits that they receive from it. People ask about interaction with medications. Obviously, if you're on medications, like you said, and you're concerned, ask your doctor. Every doctor we've talked to has been very supportive of CBD. The only exception we know is that if you're taking medicine where you can't have grapefruit, you should not be taking CBD oil, and that really has to do with the most blood pressure medications. But other than that, check it out. If you're concerned, you can always talk to your doctor, and definitely give us a shout.
Definitely. Well, thanks everyone for being here. We're going to continue to go down this road of conversations about the different types of CBD products that we have and how to take CBD and the best way to do that for yourself. So make sure to like and subscribe to this video again, and there will be a link below to all these CBD oils that we showed here as well. Thank you.
Thank you.